Some other areas that we want to just sort of touch on briefly in terms of understanding this relationship between trust and the ministry. And one of the first things that a trustee needs to understand is this differentiation between earned and unearned income. And the best way to sort of answer that is through an example. Earned income in the eyes of the ministry is income from employment. So that sort of job that your person with a disability has that allows them to earn up to $9,600. That is considered earned income. So some trustees will come to me and say, well, can I just pay a salary to the person with a disability? And unfortunately, in the eyes of trust law, and in the eyes of the ministry, more importantly, issuing money directly out of the trust fund for the benefit of a person with a disability, so putting those dollars in their hands, is actually considered unearned income. It's like income from investments. And when you receive unearned income, that is not considered exempt. And so if you receive unearned income from whether it's investments or a trust fund, the ministry will actually deduct dollar for dollar your benefits from that money you receive. So the first criteria is never ever pay dollars out of the trust fund directly to the person with a disability. The approach that should always be taken is to redirect funds to third parties. So for example, you want your son or daughter to be able to have a membership in a fitness club. The check from the trustee should be directed to the fitness club for the benefit of the person with a disability. A vacation, pay the travel agent. Don't send the money to your son or daughter because that will then put them outside of the bounds of disability benefit. And trustees unfortunately make that mistake quite regularly. It's an unintended mistake, but it's a mistake. And we want to ensure that trustees do not release dollars directly to the person with a disability. The other thing, and that just sort of helps preserve and ensure that the trust funds are not going to impact those benefits. I mean, if we're going to go to the extent of developing this elaborate plan, we need to know that it's going to be executed upon properly by the trustee. The trustee and the person with a disability also need to understand that they have a duty and accountability to the ministry. So the trustee needs to be able to account for how they're spending that trust fund. Because the frontline caseworker, when they're doing their annual review, they're going to want to know how the money's been spent. And so keeping a good log of those expenditures from the trust is going to be important in ensuring that there's no negative impact on PWD benefit in the future. And then the other area, which we've already spent a little time on, is the types of assets that the trust holds. The house is a great example, which we've already touched on. And typically, it's about developing funds in that trust that are conservatively invested and enable growth, perhaps conservative growth, but with the real intention that those funds are intended to be utilized to benefit the person with a disability, perhaps for many, many years.